1. You're always playing a role in social interactions. If every social interaction feels like you're putting on an act, chances are you might be living with high masking autism. You don't behave naturally like those around you. Instead, you push yourself, sometimes to the brink, to appear normal, to fit the mold society expects. Before stepping into a conversation, you often rehearse it in your mind. What to say, when to smile, how to express yourself just enough to not seem odd. You memorize social scripts, those little stories, polite responses, and ways of maintaining eye contact that others do instinctively. Every social setting, from casual get togethers to formal events, feels like you're operating a carefully upgraded version of yourself, a version edited and polished to blend in. But after each interaction, you often feel emotionally drained. You need long hours alone just to recharge, because holding up that performance consumes everything inside you. One of your biggest fears is worrying what others think of you. You constantly ask yourself, did I just say something weird? Do they think I'm strange? Should I have acted differently? This internal self-monitoring never stops. It makes you tense in social settings, even if no one else seems to notice. What hurts most is that no matter how hard you try, real connection still feels out of reach. Because deep down, they're not seeing the real you. They're interacting with a version you've created just to survive. 2. You constantly swing between hyperfocus and total distraction. If your attention feels completely out of your control, either scattered everywhere or obsessively locked on one thing for hours, you might be living with both ADHD and high-masking autism. ADHD makes it hard to maintain steady focus. A small noise, a passing thought, or even boredom can pull your attention away. You can sit in front of a task for hours without completing it, simply because your mind refuses to stay still. But the autistic part of you brings hyperfocus. You can become deeply immersed in certain topics or interests, so much so that you forget to eat, sleep, or even notice time passing. You might write non-stop for 10 hours, code through the night, or dive into a topic so deeply that the rest of the world fades. The paradox is painful. You don't get to choose when you focus or lose control. With tasks you don't care about, even when you know they're important, you just can't bring yourself to start. But with things you're passionate about, you disappear into your own world, untouched by distraction. This extreme swing from chaos to deep immersion can make you feel broken or lazy, when in fact it's a very typical pattern for those living with both ADHD and autism. Understanding this isn't a flaw, but a feature of your brain, is the first step toward being gentler with yourself and finding workarounds that match the way your mind works. 3. You're extremely sensitive to sensations, sounds, light, or emotions. If the little things in daily life often overwhelm you, it's very possible you carry traits of high-masking autism, perhaps along with ADHD. Your body and senses always seem to be on high alert. A sudden noise, a blaring car horn, a strong perfume, harsh fluorescent lighting, or scratchy clothing can make you deeply uncomfortable, even exhausted, desperate to escape. What others brush off as no big deal can feel like real mental torment to you. It's not just physical sensitivity, you're also emotionally tuned in. You can sense someone's sadness, anxiety, or anger without them saying a word. Their energy enters you before you even know it. But here's the painful paradox. While you're highly attuned to others, it's often hard to understand your own emotions. You might feel a wave of sadness, confusion, or anxiety, but not know how to name it, let alone explain it to someone else. This is called alexithymia, and it's common in autism and ADHD. This sensitivity can make you feel alone, like you're fighting silent emotional storms while no one notices. But you're not too fragile or overreacting. You're just reacting exactly as your uniquely wired brain was built to do, in an effort to protect you from overload. 4. You have a lot of secret self-soothing habits, stimming. If you often repeat certain actions, bouncing your leg, clicking a pen, twisting a ring, fiddling with your fingers, or silently repeating words in your head to calm down, you're using a natural coping tool called stimming. For people with high-masking autism and/or ADHD, stimming is an essential way to regulate emotions and sensory input. These small actions help you release tension, stabilize your mood, and manage sensory overwhelm. When you're anxious, restless, or overstimulated by things like noise, lights, or crowded spaces, stimming offers a sense of safety and grounding. But because society often sees these behaviors as strange or uncontrolled, you've learned to hide them. You might change a noticeable movement into a subtle one, like quietly tapping under a desk or clenching your fist inside your pocket. Still, suppressing stimming in public can lead to lingering anxiety, fatigue, or a vague irritability that's hard to explain. Stimming isn't bad. It's your brain's natural way of maintaining inner balance in a chaotic world. Instead of feeling ashamed, you deserve to understand. These movements are part of how you survive and self-care. Learning to accept them and creating safe spaces where you can stim freely is a vital step in honoring your needs and showing yourself compassion. 5. You have a complicated mental health history and were often misdiagnosed. When you look back at your mental health journey, you might notice a long list of diagnoses, each one trying to explain parts of you, but never quite fitting the whole picture. Maybe you were once diagnosed with anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, personality disorder, or even adjustment disorder. And with each label, you tried new treatments, hoping one would finally make sense. But something always felt off, like no one really saw the real you. The truth is, if you're living with high-masking autism and ADHD, your symptoms are often subtle, complex, and easy to miss. You've learned to camouflage, to adapt, to perform well enough that things appear fine on the outside, while inside you're fighting invisible battles. Even professionals can overlook or misunderstand what you're going through, especially if they're unfamiliar with how autism presents in adults who've spent years masking. So you might have spent years feeling misunderstood, mislabeled, misdiagnosed, and even confused about yourself. You've asked, why do I always feel different? Why don't these therapies ever seem to reach the root of it all? Only when you finally uncover the right diagnosis, that you're on the autism spectrum and may also have ADHD, do things start to make sense. It's not a sentence, it's a key. A key that helps you understand why your mind works the way it does, why the world feels so intense, and why you respond the way you do. From that moment on, true healing can begin, not by trying to fix yourself, but by accepting who you are and building a life that supports the way your brain was beautifully wired to be.